Financially Free with Cleo.
Hey, this is Cleo with CleoYogaFinance.com. I'm your host of Financially Free with Cleo, and welcome back for another episode. This is a show where we shift mindsets with real and raw money conversations with everyday people, empowering you to take action, appreciate the journey, and live the lifestyle you desire, financially, mentally, and physically. Today I'm talking about debt-free versus credit lifestyle. So I know there's so many conversations out there about living a debt-free lifestyle and living a lifestyle where you do finance things and borrow money, right? But I do feel that there is an importance of learning both sides. So I know that there are people who are strictly live a debt-free lifestyle, no debt, don't borrow money ever. And then I know on the other hand, there are people who say, yes, borrow, finance, leverage things, use credit. Credit is important. But I also believe that it's very important to understand both sides so you can choose whatever financial path you desire to take. So let's start with the debt-free lifestyle. So for me, when I was 18, I started getting into a whole lot of debt when I went to college and I took out student loans. Then it went to the payday loans, the credit cards, the car notes, and it just kind of went downhill after that. I was not educated on the proper way to borrow money. And when I say proper way, I'm meaning you finance something and you pay it back on time so that you could create a healthy credit score, I would say, because we all know with the credit scoring system, it's basically based off your relationship with debt. How well do you borrow money and pay it back? Do you borrow money and don't pay it back ever? Do you borrow money and pay it back late? Or do you borrow money and pay it back on time? And of course, the higher your credit score, it means that you are a better risk. If a lender is looking at your credit score and they see you have a high credit score, they know that you borrow money and it's a high percentage that you will pay them back, right? But if your credit score is low, they know that you borrow money and don't pay people back. And if you do pay them back, it's late. So with the debt-free lifestyle, I know with that end, it's like you are funding everything that you need and want, right? Whatever incomes that you have, you are paying cash. You're using your debit card, right, to swipe, right? I don't really carry a lot of cash like I used to. I don't even have checks anymore. I was about to pay for something the other day and someone asked me if I had, that's what it was. I was gonna shred some documents. And this is a place I went to before, but they were in the process of shredding some products and I had to come back at another time to shred the documents. And they said if I wanted to drop the bag off, then I can give them a check. And I was like, a check? I don't even have checks. I don't even want checks. I don't even want to write a check unless I have to. And even if I did need a check, I'd rather do a money order so that the money comes right out of my account instead of me having to make sure I leave a certain amount there for them by the time they cash that check. But anyway, but living a debt-free lifestyle, meaning you are paying for things out of your own pocket, meaning you have cash or you have the funds available in your checking account to pay for things, or your savings account, and you're transferring the money over from your savings to your checking to purchase things with your debit card. And I feel that lifestyle is a lifestyle for people who don't want to finance things. They don't want to deal with payments. And I know some people who have never borrowed and they just continue to live a debt-free lifestyle. And I've met people who was in debt at one point, paid off all the debt, and they just don't want to return to having payments, right? They don't care about the credit score because as we know that there are ways to, I think the days are over when they say you need a credit score to get a rental car. You need a credit score. You need a credit score to get to book a hotel. You need a credit score to buy a home. You need a credit score to do this and do that. But what we've learned is that there are so many other ways to get the things that we want without credit. So that's why I support both sides, because I feel like there's ways to strategically live a financially successful lifestyle, debt-free, and using credit. It just depends on what your plan is and how you set up everything where it works for you, right? But with the debt-free lifestyle, so for example, when I rent cars, I use my debit card. I haven't had a credit card in several years, and I've always used my debit card. I've never run into any problems. The only thing is when I do, for example, and I'm not endorsing or promoting any company, but I'm just telling you all what I've used. So whenever I travel and need a rental car, I usually use Alamo at the airport. They don't charge me a deposit. I basically only pay for the cost of the rental, and that's it. They don't need to check my credit. I just have to show my return flight when I use Alamo. And I just stuck with them because I'm like, I don't have to pay no extra deposit. They don't have to run my credit. I can just use my debit card. And I don't mind because I'm going to pay the amount anyway. They don't hold anything. So I just feel like that's something that worked for me personally. And I'm sure there's other people out there that have other rental companies that they use that they feel like work for them. But for me, that's just what I've always used. I've just used Alamo. And I haven't had a problem. Now, there are other rental companies out there like Hertz and Budget and some others who run your credit. But I don't have time for all that. Tell me how much it costs for these couple of days, and I'll just pay that and be done with it. When it comes to booking hotels, like there are some hotels that may hold a certain amount, may hold the normal amount that they would charge anyone. And sometimes they may say, oh, we need to hold $50 or $75 or $100 just because you're using a debit card. Even with the rental car example, because I was using a debit card, they said they had to look at my return flight. But if I had a credit card, they probably wouldn't have asked me for that. But I don't, me personally, I don't desire to have credit cards. Just with my lifestyle, with what I'm doing, I don't want them. But for other people, they have other credit card strategies that they're working with that for the reason why they use credit cards. So I don't down anyone who does use credit cards, and I feel like people who use them shouldn't tell people, oh, you should use a credit card, you're wasting money or time. I just feel like different things works for different people, but always educate yourself on everything and make the decision you feel like is best for you. With the debt-free lifestyle, yes, it may take you longer to get the car you want because you're saving up to buy this car, or it may take you longer to go on this vacation because you're saving up for the vacation. But when you go on the vacation, it feels good not to put it all on credit or not take out a personal loan to take a vacation, because when you come back from that vacation, now you don't have to think about, oh, this credit card payment coming up from this vacation I took 3 weeks ago, or, oh, I got to make this payment on this personal loan I just did because of this vacation I took. No, you can go on your vacation, enjoy it, have a good time, and you feel good that you spent your own money. And now you can come back and don't have to worry about credit card payments or personal loan payments from you financing a vacation. Now, I do understand that a lot of people are in a position to pay for, vacations or pay for, paying cash for a car. But I want you to get out of that mindset if you feel that way. There was once upon a time I didn't think I could ever pay cash for a car. And as of 2021, I paid cash for a car twice and paid off a car once. So you can do it. I think we have in that mindset, like internally, we tell ourselves we can't do something, then our body and our reality supports whatever our thoughts are. But you have to change the way you think about money. Whatever you've experienced in the past, let it go, because this is a new day, a new year, and you can do better. So if you prefer to live a debt-free lifestyle where you're not financing everything, and I never encourage that either, there are just something, like nowadays, it's ridiculous to the point where they will finance everything. Like I literally was shopping online on this store, and I wanted to get something. It was like $18, and you can finance it. Now I get it. Sometimes times is rough. Times can be hard, and we still need one things. But if you ain't got $18, you do not need to be spending no money on whatever that $18 thing was. Now I could see if it was like some type of medical emergency, health scare, like that's different. You need something in an emergency and you don't have it, that's different. But just shopping online and then you want to finance $18, even if you got to finance $200, you don't got it. You don't need to spend the money. Why pay interest on $18, $200? It's just crazy how they make stuff so easy to get by splitting things up in payments, financing things. It's a way to just get us in this cycle of making payments. So if you're someone who wants a debt-free lifestyle, then you are going to make sure that you continue to elevate and increase your income so that when you want to take a vacation, when you want to buy a new car, when you want to do whatever you want to do, buy a home, you can pay cash for it. Now, I do get that people think it's unrealistic to pay cash for houses. I've seen it done way too many times. Now, I personally have not paid cash for a home. I would love to. I know purchasing a home is on my goal list. Purchasing rental property is on my goal list. If I don't pay cash for it, then you can still borrow it and find a way to pay it off early. You know, there's so many ways to do that. But I know people will preach saying paying it off early is a waste of time, or you should pay it off early. Listen, y'all, it's so much advice out there in these finance streets, y'all. But what you have to understand is there's not always a right or wrong way. There's so many different paths to take. There's so many strategies, but you have to educate your first and understand all of them. Understand all the options, y'all. But you have to look at your lifestyle and decide what do you think is best for you in this season in your life. So if you are someone who wants to live a debt-free lifestyle, do that. Me personally, I've made the decision that I don't want to finance anything else. I don't want to go into debt for anything else unless I'm buying a property. Now, that's something I will finance if I'm getting a home or rental property. But cars and clothes and all that other stuff, I don't want to do that anymore. But that's my personal decision. You know, whatever I want, I'm gonna make sure I work and I save for it. Or I work and I have the income coming in, that's enough. Because sometimes you may have enough income coming in, you don't necessarily have to wait and save for it. You just have those checks and those incomes coming in to where you have the money continuously flowing in your accounts where you can just pay for things. And that's another way of financially free, especially with me, is that I don't always have to wait and save for something. I have incomes coming in to where if I wanted to go buy a new car tomorrow, I'll buy a new car. Or if I wanted to go on this vacation next week, I'm going to go next week. And I don't have to feel like I have to wait months or years to save for it all the time. You know, there are things that I still save for, but there are things that I can do now that I can just go buy that I couldn't do this several years ago because I just didn't have the money saved. I didn't have any money invested, and I didn't have the income flowing in on a regular basis like that to just pay for vacations or pay for things that I wanted or needed. But that's another thing I've heard people say is that I don't want to feel like I always have to wait and save. Okay, so let's create a lifestyle where you have income coming in, where you don't have to always save. And you don't have to always finance it and pay it back later either. So when it comes to credit lifestyle, I do feel that credit is important. I heard someone say you need credit to get a job. Me personally, I don't believe that's true. I feel like bad credit can hold you back from getting a good job. But if someone checks your credit, if an employer checks your credit and they see that you don't have any credit history, you're not going to lose a job because you don't have credit. But if they check your credit reports and it's negative stuff, then that could hold you back. So I experienced that several years ago when I applied for a job. They were going to pay for me to relocate. They were going to pay a really nice salary at the time, was the highest salary I would have ever been given. Everything went great until they checked my credit and they saw I had a lot of debt and collections. And they asked me, they talked with me about it. I did like the fact that they don't just give you this big denial. They talk to you about it, ask you about it. You know, they ask you, do you currently have any payment plans on some of these debts? At that time, I had all these collection items. I didn't have no payment plans and wasn't trying to have no payment plan with anybody. You know why? Because I didn't have enough money, or I thought I didn't have enough money to do that. So they asked me to make some payment arrangements on some of the debts, but I just had so much in collections, I couldn't have a payment plan with all of them. So they rescinded their job offer and told me that I could apply again in 6 months once I cleared up some of my collection items. So in that case, I lost out on a job opportunity because I had a bad credit history. Not because I didn't have any credit at all. no credit isn't bad, but having a bad credit score, a bad credit history, that can be bad to potential employers, because they say if you can't even manage your own money, how can we trust you to handle our money or handle our affairs at our company if your finances are in a mess in your personal life? So think about that when you're financing things. Ask yourself, do I need to finance this? If I finance it, how is this going to help me financially? My big financial picture, how is me financing this going to help? Because there are some times where it's worth to finance something if you're trying to get a certain score. So if you want to fix your credit, repair your credit, ask yourself, why are you trying to repair your credit? Clearly it's to borrow money at a future date, because that's the only reason to really work on a credit score, have a good credit history, is because you want to borrow money later. What are you trying to borrow money for? Why do you want the good score? And I know we can get into having a credit rating will help with insurance rates and help with all these other things, but you can have a debt-free lifestyle and still get all the things that you need and want, and don't necessarily always have to pay more for it. And you can have a lifestyle where you do have a credit score that you're maintaining, but you have to understand, you always have to have some type of relationship with debt in order to maintain that score. Like if you get to a 700, it's not just going to stay there forever. Like you have to continuously have a positive relationship with debt to maintain the score. So when you think about repairing your credit, fixing your credit, getting a high credit score, don't think you can just do these things and you get a 650, 700, 780, and it's just going to stay there. No, it's going to go up and down. And if you are someone who doesn't want credit, to deal with credit anymore, you start paying things off, your credit score is going to start going down, because if you start paying off things and closing accounts, the credit bureaus are going to see that you no longer have a relationship with debt like you once did before. So now it's just going to go down. So just because you have a bad credit score, that doesn't mean that you aren't wealthy either. Because when I was paying off debt, I was doing well financially, but my score was going down. So I could pay cash for a car, but I couldn't finance it because of my credit score. So I'm like, you mean to tell me I could pay $25,000 for this car in cash, but if I try to finance it, the bank would tell me no because my credit score isn't good. Well, my credit score wasn't good because I was paying things off and just closing them, because when I was in my debt-free, stressed life, I just was wanting to get rid of debt. Like I didn't want to think about managing payments anymore. So I didn't care about closing the accounts because I was so stressed with debt. But I feel like if I was educated on credit and educated on money, so I could understand why I should have kept certain accounts open at that time, then I would have had a different mindset around it instead of just paying and closing everything. So that's what I want you to do, is that when you're deciding to change your credit history, improve your credit, consult with a professional, consult with a money coach, a credit coach, financial professional, and tell them all about your situation. But you also have to know what your goals are. Sometimes, depending on what your goals are, it may be worth building a credit score. But depending on your goals, it may be worth living the debt-free lifestyle. And it just depends on what your goals are. Don't necessarily make a decision because they're doing it, or he's doing it, or she's doing it. Ask yourself, what are my lifestyle goals? With the debt-free lifestyle, is it going to be best for me to continue to work on my streams of income and have the income coming in where I can pay cash for things? Or is it best for me to continue to elevate my income, have the cash flow that I need, but also building my score to where I can finance certain things that I want to finance? And this comes in your personal and your business finances. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, you want to make sure that you're in a position that if you want to have access to credit, if you need it or want it one day, then some people put themselves in that position too, where they don't necessarily want to finance everything, but they want to put their credit in a position personally and professionally that if they need it or want it one day, that the credit is available to them should they need it. So you want to make sure you are evaluating your lifestyle to see, what do you desire? What do you want? And what is it going to work for your lifestyle? What do you need in your personal finances? And what do you need in your business finances if you have business finances to work with? And you decide, is it best for you to live a debt-free lifestyle personally and professionally, or is it best for you to live a lifestyle where you are financing things and managing credit personally and professionally? So set some time this week and evaluate your financial lifestyle and ask yourself, do I want to be debt-free and live that lifestyle, or I want to live a lifestyle where I am managing credit accounts? So set some time this week, and I want you to keep me updated and let me know what decision you are going to choose. Email me at hello@cleoyogafinance.com, or you can send me a DM on social media at Cleo Yoga Finance on all social media platforms, and let me know, are you working towards a debt-free lifestyle, or are you working towards living a credit management lifestyle? Let me know. So again, don't wonder what if, take a risk, and I will see you next week.
You can be financially free with Cleo.